It's Wednesday. All right, gang. Before we get into CrossFit stuff, I usually forget the question of the day, so we're going to start with the question of the day. Who is your favorite philosopher? And before I get like a boomer thing from Alec, that can be anything from like Ryan Holiday, a modern writer, to like Alan Watts, to Seneca and like Marcus Aurelius, and like who we think of as like the old men, like being philosophers. I would go split between Ryan Holiday. He writes a lot of really cool books that apply modern or like older philosophy and stoicism to modern day stories. So whether that's like the Cuban Missile Crisis or Abraham Lincoln in the Civil War and so on and so forth, to then tie that into how we could apply it to our own daily lives. Super interesting. On the flip side, I really, really like Alan Watts. He's a Zen philosopher from the 1970s. And he has an amazing way of speaking. He has a very bubbly, musical voice, and it's almost like poetry when he gives one of his lectures. And so what could have been a very boring lecture becomes like a really interesting experience to listen to. If you have a chance, great recordings on YouTube, especially if you're into like chill step, Alan Watts. All right, now let's do fitnessy things. That's out of the way. Warm up for today, we're gonna go through 2 rounds of this. I want you to spend 60 seconds doing bilateral shoulder cars. With the bilateral, it's really easy to feel wanting to have your thoracic spine, your rib cage open up, which also makes it easier to squeeze the abs and pull the rib cage down and resist that because you're more aware of it. So both arms together, reaching up and back, and then coming back and around, unwinding the shoulder. Spend about 60 seconds. Doesn't matter how many reps you get in. Then pop down on the ground. You're gonna do 60 seconds of a single arm plank, switching every 15 seconds. So make sure you can see your phone or whatever you're using to keep time. And then you're just gonna plant the hand, spread the fingers really, really well. And then you're just gonna switch back and forth. This is a lot like a shoulder or a quadruped shoulder tap. It's just that we're not actually gonna tap the shoulders. We're just gonna hang out on the one hand. Go through 2 rounds of that. That's gonna take a little bit more than 4 minutes. And then we're gonna get into some shoulder mobility. So now that we've gone through a full shoulder car, we'll work on some end range stuff with it's called a Y arm raise on a box. Essentially it's a lift off. So you're gonna get into position where you're stretching your lats. And then instead of being an end range, you let yourself have a little bit more play, and then one arm at a time, you'll raise it up with a 3-second pause and really fight for getting extra range out of that. You're gonna do 10 reps on each side. Again, the goal for that is control and max tension. So we really wanna fight to extend that end range of motion. Once you get through there, we've got some movement prep and play. You're gonna go through 30 seconds of each of these. We've got scorpions. That's the weird thing where I was laying down on the ground, flipping over side to side. And then 30 seconds of a reverse plank glute bridge. That's gonna be really, really good for your shoulder mobility. Play around with your hand position or your shoulder position in that. And then 30 seconds of piked push-ups, or just push-ups if that angle is not accessible for you. You guys are pretty familiar with your push-up scale, so scale that as needed. And then paused air squats for 30 seconds. So with that, go with how you feel. If you wanna just pop down for like a second or 2 and then go through a few reps, like 15, awesome. If you just want to spend some time down there for 30 seconds, go ahead and spend some time down there anywhere in between. Go through that 1 or 2 times depending on how much you want to play around. That's gonna take us into some gymnastics play and some shoulder strengthening. We're gonna go through a superset of a shoulder press with some core work. So if we don't have any equipment and or we just wanna work on handstand push-ups, what I want you guys to do is 5 sets of 8 to 10 piked or box push handstand push-ups. For this, I wanna stress that like, regardless of whether you can do 8 to 10 strict handstand push-ups or if you can do like 1 to 2, I want you to do piked, essentially thinking of this as like doing 60% of your 1 rep max snatch. Right? It doesn't always pay to just like lift at 80%, 90%, 100%, or make those attempts. Today is gonna be similar to that, but in the gymnastics world. So we're gonna take the edge off, still work through 8 to 10 reps, but take it down regardless of your own personal ability. At the same time, if you are only able to do 1 to 2 piked handstand push-ups, I would encourage you to do this as a push-up and build that strength, okay? Open up that range for wherever you're at. Just cap that at 10. So if you can do 3 to 10, that's totally fine. Don't feel obligated to rock out 8 if you know that your shoulders are gonna be wrecked. If you have a dumbbell and you wanna work the shoulder stability there, we can also exchange that out for 3 to 6 single arm dumbbell presses. So that's just gonna be a strict press with a dumbbell on the shoulder while you're sitting down. That's gonna take out most of the body, which is gonna emulate the handstand push-up and allow you a little bit more strength specific to a handstand push-up. So that's also an option. Regardless, once you get done with the pressing, you're gonna go into 30 seconds of a hollow body tuck to full to tuck to full, so on and so forth. That's a different thing that we normally do. Usually we just hold one of the scales. So if you know that like that full hollow is really, really hard and you just wanna try to sneak out one leg at a time, that's totally fine. Or even just partially sneak the legs out and bring them back in. If you don't have a full hollow, scale back as needed. Awesome. Let's do the Metcon for today. We've got some AMRAPs, so we've got some interval work. The formatting is gonna change a little bit depending on what track you're on. So let's go through the format. That's gonna be similar, but I don't know how I just said that they're gonna be similar. They're kind of similar, whatever. You're gonna do 4 sets of 3-minute AMRAPs with a 2-minute rest. That part's not gonna change. So 3 minutes on, 2 minutes off for 4 rounds. If you have like little to no equipment, you are gonna need an odd object, so get the backpack out. We've got 30 odd object thrusters, cool. And then 10 per arm, single arm bent over rows. Okay, that's a weird thing to throw into a Metcon. I don't want you to like blast through it as if you're trying to go for reps. Like keep the wheels on when you do that. Let the wheels come off on the thrusters. And then you're just gonna cycle through that for 3 minutes. Most of that time is gonna be spent on the thrusters, depending on how much weight you put in it. If you have a little bit of equipment, like if you have a dumbbell or 2, we'll go slightly different. This is gonna be more of a chase after some shoulder accessory in the format of AMRAPs. So instead of thinking about it like for time or for a score, think about it as like, I'm just gonna do these reps and I'm gonna circuit through these on this time interval. Slightly different approach, but here's your movements. You're gonna alternate between these for your 4 sets. So AMRAP A is going to be 4 per side, just shoulder to overhead. If you wanna strict press, push jerk, however. And then you're gonna fall down on the ground and you're gonna do 4 per side of a 1-arm floor press, okay? And then you're gonna pop up and do a 1-arm bent over row. Again, 4 on each side for all of those. And you're just gonna cycle through that for that 3 minutes. On the next interval, we've got a slightly different circuit. You're gonna do 4 per side of a Bulgarian split squat. If you're holding that dumbbell, you can just go gobble it with it just to make it simple. 4 per side of glute bridges with your feet on whatever you would set your back foot on during the Bulgarian split squat. And then 4 per side lunges, goblet if you have 1, front rack if you have 2, to finish out that. The next one you would go then back to the A, so AB pattern. Awesome. If you have the ability, if you have a wall ball, 30 wall balls, and then 4 rope climbs. I don't think any of us have any ropes at home, so what I would do is I would change that out to like 8 to 10 chest to bars or pull-ups, or if you want to work strict, that would probably be more similar. So like, it would be like, that's a lot of rope climbs. 10 strict pull-ups, 10 to 15, depending on your volume there. So scale that to what fits. And that's gonna take us to the like running accessory. We talked a little bit on Sunday that we're adding this in. So this can either be exchanged for the Metcon or done in addition to, whatever you guys have the time, the effort, or the tolerance for. A little bit simpler. It's gonna run an 800, essentially at an easy pace, warm-up pace, and then you're gonna do a 400 at a decent clip. So think like what you would do for like a 5K, okay? Like you're not jogging, but like you're not blowing out that 400. And then you're gonna hit 200 meters super hard. Ramp, 200, hit it hard, 200 meter easy. So then you're gonna back off for 200 meters, walk, jog, whatever that is, make sure it is slow. And then you're gonna ramp it back up, 400 meters, again, at a decent clip, but not blowing yourself out. but then you're gonna finish with 800 meters hard, okay? So that might be a similar pace, but try to have a substantial difference in how you approach it from 400 to 800 meters. Maybe it ends up being the same pace, but go in with the attempt to make it faster. Cool, that's gonna be hump day for everybody. Let us know if you have any questions. Hit the like and subscribe button and all those YouTube things, and we'll see you tomorrow for Thursday.